day, everyone. Yesterday, September 10th, in the US of A, United States of America, was the presidential debate between former President Donald Trump and the present Vice President Kamala Haris. That debate, which is in respect of the American culture, whereby presidential candidates engage in debates during the campaign for the election of the next president of the United States of America. That debate that was organized by the CBS News Agency and highly watched by the world taught us a lot of lessons that I feel that I should share with you so that together we can extract something from that debate that can help us. My comments today and the teachings of this session will help those who are involved in marketing and sales. Because remember, politicians do just the same thing that marketing and salespeople do. They want to get voters. Marketing and salespeople want to make sales. So yesterday's debate can teach us a lot. Please don't go away and make sure you stay with us. Hello and welcome to this discussion on business in Africa. In today's discussion, we're going to reflect on the presidential debate that took place yesterday in the United States between former President Donald Trump and Kamala Haris, the Vice President. Both of them candidate for the Republican Party and candidate for the Democrat Party. As you know, the election for who to be the next president of the United States will be coming up in November. Now, yesterday's debate had a lot to teach us, and that is what we're going to be reflecting on. Thank you for coming to our video. And please, if you are here for your first time, I do plead on you to subscribe and share our content so that together we can continue to build this family of committed minds. Before I go to my first remarks of something we can learn, I want to say if you are a salesperson or you are a marketer, please look for something and sit down, because in this session, I'm going to bring to you some of the things that can help you to close deals. The first thing any salesperson should understand is that you have to prepare. You know, sometimes when we're doing sales, we were in the era where we don't have Android phones and cameras like today. So sometimes one of the ways we used to prepare was to stand in front of the mirror and vision your customer and see how you can approach that customer, what are kind of things you can talk to that customer, etc. And if you look at this, if you have been following American politics for the past week, you realize that Donald Trump was not preparing. And you can see that clearly during the debate. If you approach a customer, if you approach a potential client without preparation, you're going to lose the game. As a salesperson, it is true, we always tell ourselves that as salespeople, you have to be ready at all times. Yes, being ready at all times doesn't mean you don't prepare. There are a lot of ways to prepare. Try to see, are you confident enough to talk about this product? Preparation is very important. And most especially, let's imagine that you have been running behind a potential leads for years, for months. And at the end of the day, God gives you the opportunity for that lead to grant you an opportunity to come and talk about your product. Gives you an appointment for you to meet somewhere, maybe in a lounge, in a decent place, depending on what you are selling. If you don't prepare, that opportunity might pass you by. So preparation for a salesperson, you have to always rehearse yourself. Imagine the kind of people the service you are selling can take you to. Because what you sell determines your market. And when I talk here in terms of market, I mean the kind of clients you meet. If you are selling luxurious cars, you have to know that the kind of people that you will meet are those kind of people, and how should I prepare myself so as to approach this kind of people? Because that opportunity might be the only opportunity you will have with that person. Our next point will be on the approach. And before I do that, please watch this video with me.
Vice President Harris selected the podium to the right.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Kamala Harris. What's up, good day? Thank you.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are.
Okay, my people, you have watched that video like myself. If you are a salesperson, you have to understand one thing, the way you approach a potential client. Now listen, if you watch this video, you see two people coming and you will feel who was confident and who wasn't. You realize that Kamala Haris was so confident. Please approach your potential client with confidence. What she did is remarkable. She came to that scene full of courage, full of confidence in herself. Listen, she did not just come straight on her podium, on her pulpit. She passed her pulpit and went to Donald Trump. Now, I know some people might say, no, because Donald Trump is her elder, and so she had to go. No, it was politically planned and designed that way. When you prepare so well to approach a customer, there are details you will take into consideration. That detail alone shows how bold she is. And she knew. She went to Donald Trump. She knows that Donald Trump knows who she is. And she said, Kamala Haris. And you realize that Donald Trump entered with his head down. No, you don't do that when you're approaching a customer. That client you have been behind for years, for months, and you have the opportunity to reach out to him. You will not go with your head down. In some cases, you will be in that place before him or her. And when he is coming, please, I know sometimes we have this tendency in Africa that you have to respect your elder. Maybe if the client is an elderly person, you don't have to look at him at the face. No, this is sales. When you are making sales, you're not begging people. You want to convince somebody. You start with that approach. If you're greeting that person, don't be greeting and your head is down. You say, hey, good morning, sir. How are you, sir? No. You look at the person and say with a small smile, with a joking smile. Sometimes you can even do some joking issues to bring yourself close to the person. The approach is very important, and that is where Donald Trump missed some key points.
Asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing, we know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. They would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality.
My people, you must have certainly watched the video. This part that I showed you now, something is very important here. The way you respond to your potential client. Because after you approach and you unveil whatever you have prepared for him, questions are going to come. And that is where self-control is essential. Some people approach clients wrongly, and because they do that, they lack self-control. A client might ask you a provoking question, but you must know how to answer. And the way you answer, you have to remain peaceful. You have to remain friendly. Don't be as if, okay, this is the whole opportunity we've been looking for, and now. No. The way you answer your potential client is very important. You must make sure that there is connection. And if you realize in Kamala Haris, the way she answered her first question, she knew she was not talking to those journalists. She was talking to the American people. And she knew where her camera was. She focused on that camera and she spoke to the American people. And you realize that all through in the debate, she was talking both to Donald Trump and the American people. At some point, she would turn to her left, and because Donald Trump was standing by her left, she would turn to her left and look at Donald Trump. And on rare occasions, did Donald Trump turn to her, which to me, I think that can be a weakness if you are with that potential client. Don't give that potential client the impression that you don't want to be connected to him. You need that potential client for you to make sales. So the way you respond to him, the way you talk to him, make him know that you are connected with him. Talk to him by looking at him, smiling when it is necessary, making him to understand that you are there for him. And sometimes when you also talk to somebody and you are looking at that person, it reduces that person's chances of distraction, and it can make that person get you correctly. Thank you for still being here, my people. The next thing we're going to talk now is, please, if you're going to make sales, if you're going to meet that client, have enough arguments with you. And when I talk in terms of argument, have statistics. For example, if you're selling a car, be able to say, be able to make referential evidence. For example, be able to say, you see this man that is driving this car, I am the one that convinced him to make this, to buy the car. And in fact, since he bought that car, he has been thanking me. You need to give arguments that can convince somebody to buy whatever you're selling. Because people, sometimes, after you have convinced the person about what you are selling, you need to make that person be more connected by giving facts to back your sales. Don't just feel that, don't just feel that because your thing is good, is just enough. No, be able to make referential examples, give statistics that can be verified. Donald Trump was so dispersed in his discussion, in this debate. When you are that kind of person, you will really make sales. And you may think that it is because of juju. No, it is the way you are making sales. So you need to understand that you don't just make sales, you have to go the right way. And when you go the right way, there is tendency that you make great sales. Okay, my people, the last part of our discussion, we'll talk about your conclusion as a salesperson. Your conclusion is very important. Now, I want you to watch this video to understand how both parties concluded their discussion.
Tonight, the time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris, we begin with you.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
Okay, as you have just watched from the video, you realize that, remember at the beginning of the debate, it was announced that Donald Trump picked the coin to be the one to be the last person to conclude. So Kamala Harris was normally the first person to start. She went straight by addressing her market, her voters. Donald Trump still went back to repeat some of the things that he has been saying. No, in a political debate like this, your concluding part is very essential. And it's not for you to go back and begin to repeat the same thing. Now, let me come to sales. Sometimes you can do everything right, and the potential client will still say, well, I'll think about it. Or, well, I'm not interested. Thank you for your time. How do you react is very essential in all these debates. Is what place, and that is what the potential client will take back home. Sometimes, some salespersons, the first impression is disappointment. Because there are some salespeople who have not yet understood that to make sales is not an easy thing. And depending on what you're selling, sometimes you have to understand the reaction of the potential client to know that there are some clients you can reach out to them 3-4 times before you strike the sales. But to come with so much, maybe because of pressure from the office, from their bosses, they come with so much hope that when the client tells them, no, I can't buy, or all right, I will get back to you, they get discouraged because they just felt that they were going to buy there and there. I remember one of my salesperson who came back to me someday and said, that man is a witch. Can you imagine that? And I said, that's a very wrong impression, to see your potential client as a witch because he did not buy. Now, your human personality matters. Always make sure that you separate with a potential client in good terms, no matter what, whether he buys or not. It is very essential because that is what is going to stay in his head. And it is not the opportunity for you to come back again and begin to repeat maybe some of the things that you have said earlier, like Donald Trump did. No. If a potential client tells you, okay, I'll get back to you. Then you say, all right, sir, thank you so much. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Please, sir, would you permit me to share from time to time some information about our product and the evolution? And so you must have something to say. That is why preparation is very important. You must prepare how you're going to enter, how you're going to be in the middle, and how you're going to close. If you do that, you can make your sales very easy. But a lot of the times, you don't. You don't. I know you may tell me that sometimes we don't have time to prepare. No, you have time. Because if a customer calls you and tells you, please, can we meet at 10 p.m.? Even if it is 1 hour, in that 1 hour, you will draft yourself the way you're going to approach that client. It is very essential. And that is why you realize that because Kamala Harris prepared so well, her approach was good, she was confident in the way she was talking, and she knew that she was not only talking to Donald Trump or the journalists, she was talking to the American population, and she was very perfect in this debate. And she was focused. Her arguments were precise. Whatever she said, she was so precise on it because she took time to prepare with her team. And because of that, I say kudos to her team. Okay, my people, if you have been here to this moment, we thank you so much. We please plead on you to subscribe to our channel if this is your first time, and to keep staying with us so that together we can build a family of committed minds and keep doing our work. And if you feel whatever we are doing is good and you want to support us, please reach out to us anytime, and we will do our best to keep pushing this work. Bye-bye.